tucked away in the ancient canals of Xochimilco, just south of Mexico City, sits a patch of land that looks like a scene from a fever dream. Locals call it La Isla de las Muñecas, the island of the dolls. I went there in 2017 expecting kitsch and cobwebs. What I found was a place where history, tragedy, and superstition twist together like the roots of the willow trees that line the water. You can't drive to the island. You have to hire a trajinera, one of those flat-bottomed boats painted in neon colors, and drift along the same waterways the Aztecs used to farm centuries ago. The morning I went, the sky was the color of ash. Our boatman, a wiry man in his 50s named Mauricio, pushed us along with a pole, narrating stories between cigarettes. "People think it's just a tourist trap," he said in Spanish. "But Don Julián didn't do it for the tourists." His voice lowered as we glided past floating gardens and houses perched on stilts. He did it for her. The her Mauricio mentioned is at the heart of this legend. In the early 1950s, a man named Julián Santana Barrera moved to this Chinampa, an artificial island built by hand, to live in solitude. Not long after, he claimed to have found the body of a young girl in the canal, drowned among the lilies. No official record of the girl exists. Some say she was invented to explain his obsession. Others believe she was a real victim of the currents. Julián hung a doll in a tree to honor her spirit, then another, and another. For more than 40 years, he collected cast-off dolls from trash heaps and bartered bottles with residents to acquire more. Their sun-bleached heads, missing eyes, and tangled hair slowly turned the island into an altar. Julián told anyone who would listen that the dolls whispered to him at night that they kept the little girl's spirit at bay. In 2001, Julián was found face down in the same canal where he said the girl had drowned. People call that coincidence. Down in Xochimilco, they call it proof. Our trajinera bumped against a bank of reeds, and the island came into view. Hundreds of dolls hung from branches and fence posts, their limbs askew, their sockets empty, some grinning, others eternally screaming. The air was thick and humid, smelling of river mud and decaying plastic. I stepped off the boat and felt the ground suck at my boots. There was no curator, no ticket booth, just an honesty box and a hand-painted sign. "Bienvenidos a la Isla de las Muñecas." He lived here alone for decades, Mauricio said, staying by the boat. He never married. Only the dolls kept him company. They say he still walks at night. I didn't think in cliches like the silence was deafening. But on that island, every sound felt amplified. Water trickled somewhere out of sight. A breeze rustled the willow leaves. Somewhere deeper in the thicket, something creaked. I raised my camera and snapped a photo of a doll nailed to a tree, its skin cracked, one hand missing. As I did, I heard a whisper, not loud, more like a breath close to my ear. I spun around. No one. Mauricio was at the boat, rolling another cigarette. A group of teenagers in another trajinera laughed somewhere down the canal. I must have imagined it. I shook off the unease and followed a path deeper into the island. In the center, there's a small shack. Inside, on a rickety table, sat an old radio, a faded portrait of the Virgin of Guadalupe, and a journal encased in plastic. It belonged to Don Julián. I flipped through it carefully. The entries were dated April 3rd, 1987, May 27th, 1990. Most were mundane. Rain again. Need more beans. But one page caught my eye. In shaky handwriting, he wrote, "Las voces no me dejan dormir." The voices won't let me sleep. He listed times, 1:13 a.m., 3:02 a.m., followed by the word muñeca, doll, over and over. Below it, scribbled in different ink, another hand had written, "No estás solo." You are not alone. I heard that whisper again when I closed the journal, only this time I caught words. "Ven aquí. Come here." My skin crawled. It wasn't Mauricio's voice. It was thin, high, like a child's. I leaned toward the doorway, heart pounding. Behind the shack, half submerged in water hyacinths, a cluster of dolls bobbed gently. Their plastic cheeks brushed one another with the motion, making a soft, whispering sound. I laughed out of nervous relief. Then, as I turned to leave, a doll on a tree nearby rotated slightly on its string, as if following me with its eyeless gaze. Maybe it was the wind, or maybe some of the stories people tell on that island aren't just stories. On the boat ride back, Mauricio told me that Julián's family still owns the island. His nephew Anastasio maintains it as a shrine, partly out of respect, partly because tourists keep the family afloat. They say the dolls talk to each other at night, Mauricio said, pushing the pole through dark water. He didn't smile. Sometimes they call out to passing boats. Some people answer and never come back. I asked him if he believed that. He shrugged. Belief is not required, only respect. When I got home and played back my recordings from the island, I heard something strange. Beneath my questions and Mauricio's answers was a faint, continuous whisper, like someone breathing right into the microphone. I've had audio engineers look at it. They can't isolate it or explain it. It's there, threading through every minute of tape. I haven't erased it. I'm still trying to decide if I should share it.